that was a real thing when I was 16, and then it was like, and then you just do that. And there's a lot of it has to do with postpartum, encouraging yourself, all of that stuff. And several pivots later, here I am talking about confidence, which is so
Close. I'm a 3, but yes, very energetic. Okay, well, you do have a huge smile on your face, so I would say maybe a 2. Okay, similar. 9 and 2. Okay, cool. All right. Well, who else?
I'm a 9.
A 9. Okay. Anybody else knows their numbers? No, really. Okay. Well, so you know a 2. Okay. So the Enneagram has 9 types, right? And there's many schools of thought on this. We should be using labels and just the numbers because we need to understand all of things. And through the years in studying the Enneagram and starting to use it with clients, I noticed not everyone's as passionate about it. And they're like, great, Marta, I'm not going to do this. Thanks for showing me your number. I am. Maybe one day in a conversation, I was like, I have no idea what that means. Because truly, the Enneagram is not a personality assessment like this for StrengthsFinder or even Myers-Briggs. It's a personality framework. So what does that mean? You need to study all the time. You need to read all the books. You need to make this sort of like your life's journey, which not everyone's interested in. And the personalities explain that as well. So to simplify, what I did, and also because I like pioneering things and creating my own stuff, I created my own quiz. I created my own personality quiz that actually uses one of the ways that the types can be segmented and separated, which is based on their stances. I decided to create 3 groups. So in each group, there's 3 of the types. And I named them viewers, anchors, and doers. And fret not, because I actually have a quiz. So you can use the QR code if you want to take the quiz. It's only 8 questions long. So as great multitaskers, even though Gina Fontaine, which is a member here, She is not a proponent of multitasking, but I will allow you to take the quiz as I speak because it should be pretty easy. So I created this quiz, and because I help women entrepreneurs, I named it the six-figure personality quiz. So what is your personality to get to six figures and beyond? But really, the idea is you are already this personality, and it's just a matter of becoming aware and owning it and leveraging your strengths to help you grow in your life and in your business. So I think everybody's got the code, and you can start. So let me talk about the psychological profile of all of these, and I will let you know which numbers in the Enneagram they represent in case you're interested. So when we talk about feelers, we talk about very reliable people. So remember my husband, the electrician, he is a very reliable person. He's the type of person that will do the right thing even when no one's watching. And you can't really say this about everybody in the world, right? Well, if no one's watching, I can do, something a little bit different. I can cut some corners. That's not what feelers typically do because they play by the book, and it's a matter of integrity. And we need these people in the world, just like what I said. If you need a bridge built, you need to rely on somebody that will do all the calculations. Otherwise, we can suffer the consequences. But then what's the downside of being so much of a perfectionist and detail oriented? You're afraid of taking risks. And as we know, life is part science, part art. We have to be able to color outside the lines. And when we talk entrepreneurship, I mean, that's the life of risk. Everything is a risk, really, but you don't really know what's going to happen. You don't have a fixed salary, right? Many of us don't necessarily know where our next client is coming from at times. So that is one of the challenges of feelers, is having that fear of taking risks. And when they connect with the other personality types, they are then empowered to go a little bit outside of their comfort zone. So feelers in the Enneagram are types 1, 2, and 6. Okay. Then when we talk about thinkers are the stereotypical artists. So when you think artists, when you think musicians, when you think scientists, withdrawn in their labs, hours on end, doing things by themselves, you think of thinkers. So they're very creative, they're very eccentric, so very unique. At times, people that may feel like odd ducks, they don't really fit in. That's because they're more withdrawn, because there's a whole world inside of themselves, right? So introverted people. When it comes to feelers, I would say they're kind of like ambiverts. They could be part introverted, part extroverted. And thinkers are majorly introverted. And so what is the downfall of being so creative and being so eccentric is if I step out and I actually talk about what's in my head, will people accept me? Will they misunderstand me? And when you think, super stereotype of musicians, right? When you think artists, majority of them are misunderstood. And it takes years, even at times after they die, for them to be understood and appreciated. So that's what thinkers typically are. And in the Enneagram, they are 4, 5, and 9s. So for those 9s of you, let me know if you resonate with being a thinker. And then we have doers, which guess which one I am? Doers are 3, 7, and 8 on the Enneagram. They're action driven. It's in the word. But then what's the downside of that is afraid of looking like a failure, afraid of not being enough. So that's why they're on to the next thing, right? When you have the feelers wanting to check all the boxes and doing everything correctly, and the thinkers too, doers are like, all right, we don't need to finish this. It's good enough. Let's move on to the next thing, because then, I can be appreciated and I can be recognized for this other accomplishment. So do you see how none of them is better than the other? They're different, right? And they complement each other. And so what does that say about you as an entrepreneur? And what does that say about your audience when you think that they are made up of these 3 types? And oftentimes we tend to attract one of the types because of who we are, and we maybe enjoy working with some people more than others. I always like to bring examples of like when I have calls or connection calls with people that are not doers, and it seems like they don't like me because they're so quiet. And thinkers and feelers may be more quiet and withdrawn. So when I show up with a doer and I'm like, yeah, I'm so excited and I'm so lively, and they're like, yes, totally. I get out of that call and I'm like, I guess I need to tone it down. And maybe, but the reality is we are different. And that doesn't mean that
person didn't resonate with you. And in fact, when I'm teaching clients about speaking, oftentimes the person that is the most, not always, but oftentimes the person that seems the most uninterested in what you have to say and that is not smiling at you can come to you after the presentation and say, something that you said touched me. That was really good. So it's all very deceiving because you don't know what's going on inside. So take that into consideration as you're talking with clients and potential clients. All right, so let's move on to the next step. So you've noticed yourself, right? You understand a little bit more how you operate and how that maybe, it probably is, different from the people that you surround yourself with and come in contact with. So now let's talk about listening. Your audience is made up of feelers, thinkers, and doers. So what does this have to do with your content creation process or how you approach people? Which, by the way, let me ask you, how many of you leverage social media for lead generation or for networking? Okay. Yes. Yes. Somewhat. Okay. And the others, is it mostly referrals or in-person connections, networking? Okay. Regardless, you need to talk to people, right? So when we say content creation, usually people think, oh, I'm writing a post, but this has to do with the copy on your website. This has to do with the emails that you're exchanging. You are presenting information in a certain way, and you are presenting it in the lens of your type, right? So how can you become more aware of that so that you can reach out or approach things in a way that benefits the other types that may not see things the way that you're seeing it? So now let's think about the lens of your audience made up of feelers, thinkers, and doers. What is not taking action costing them? So what does that mean? When it comes to the problem that you help solve, what is happening in their lives, even beyond the area of life that you're helping them with? So let's say if I'm a health coach, I'm helping them with their energy levels, with their health, their blood test.
Here's our first segment. Well, technically second, because I talked about the personality types. So, like I said, if your business handles health, I'm sure you're already talking about this with your clients. Right? You're going to sleep better. You're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. But are you handling the other parts? Right? Are you talking about how much money they can potentially save in medical bills or in supplements or whatever?
Because you're going to be helping them with their health. Are you talking about how much more focused they're going to be in their jobs or in their career, or how much more fulfilled they're going to feel while performing their work because their health is better? Do you see where I'm getting at? Oftentimes we stay focused on the area of life that we help people with, but we need to understand that we have other facets to us, and chances are, and usually, when you have a problem in one area of your life, everything's affected, right? So how many of you can resonate with, at times you have an amazing month in your business, but you couldn't stop arguing with somebody in your family? It happens, right? Or how many times you're doing an amazing month in your business and you're barely sleeping, you're living off of Monsters and Snickers. But these things happen, and it's like, man, I'm doing all the right things here, but then this other part is not going so well. And this is great insight to say, not everything needs to be perfect for us to reach success. There's always going to be something off balance, which work-life balance is a little bit elusive, but that's the very thing that you can leverage in your content to tell your ideal client and say, by you focusing your attention on this that I can help you with, so many other areas of your life are going to improve. So there are more benefits to working with me than you realize, and they don't realize. So that's why it's your job to show that to them. Okay, so think beyond your niche. Now, the next step is forgive. And I love talking about this. It could seem unusual for marketing content for me to talk about forgiveness, but I like bringing this in here for a couple of reasons. For one, we tend to get really hard on ourselves when we're not meeting our goals, right? When things are not going as expected, when you're like, oh, I thought they had said yes. And then the next day they said, no, actually, I changed my mind. What did I do wrong? What did I say wrong? Could I have said something different, right? So first of all, forgiving yourself for doing your best. But then in terms of content, where does the forgiveness piece come in? And this piece here is very key to help you attract empowered clients. How many of you have attracted nightmare headache clients, the ones that you had red flags right off the bat, you ignored them, and then you suffer the consequences later and you're like, oh my gosh, I should have, I knew, I in charge. They need to take action. You're not waving a magic wand and solving anyone's problems, right? So they have agency in the process. So how do you do that? You give them permission to see and embrace their current situation. Because many people are moved by pain to change, right? So somebody says, you're awful. This is awful. You need to change now. So they feel awful about themselves. And then they're like, all right, I'm ready to change. This is not a very empowering way to create change, and it probably won't last very long. As opposed to saying, you're not the only one that's going through this. In fact, I've had Sally, Mary, John who have been through the same situation, and I was able to help them. You see how this is different? How you're giving them hope, but you're not starting from a place of guilt or shame. You're starting from a place of empathy, right? And also helping them feel like they're not so special in their problem. We want to feel special because we're great, but we don't want to feel special because you're the only one in the world going through a serious situation, right? So for those of you who help with finances, people come to you probably in a very shameful situation of how did I let myself get to this point, right? Or even when you think health, weight loss, whatever. People can come to you and be like, I'm so embarrassed. I am thousands of dollars in debt. I don't even want to talk to you, to the stranger, about my situation because I am so embarrassed. So it really is your job to say, you're not the only one, friend. I've had other clients, right? I've seen other situations, and there is hope for you. That's where you want to lead them, to say, if you actually start now, and if you listen to what I say and you do it because I can do it for you, there is hope for you. So give them permission to be where they are, right? It's okay. And in fact, one of my most popular types of content that I put out there is when I say, I cry in front of my computer sometimes. Sometimes I argue with my husband because he doesn't understand what I'm doing. Remember, electrician. Why do you talk to so many people? You talk to more people in one day than I talk to in a month. Well, that's because you have your job 9 to 5. You don't need to talk. People tell you where to go, right? So when I say these kinds of things, like I yell at my kids sometimes. The other women that I help, they're like, okay, then I'm normal. It's fine. I'm going to be okay, right? So this is the type of things that you can do. And then humanize yourself. So if there's the possibility for you to tell your story, that adds a piece of trust. When you say, oh, I started this when I was $100,000 in debt, right? If you're a financial advisor. Whoa, so you've gone through this? Then that means I can really do something about my life, right? So this helps. People don't want to work with perfect people. We have this idea and assumption that they do, but that's not true, because then they see you as the savior, this impossible model, right? And that's not what we want. We don't want people putting us in pedestals, right? Because as soon as we make a mistake, what happens? And we will make mistakes and we will disappoint people, okay? So that's the forgiveness step. So here are some helpful words that you can use in your content or as you're talking to people. Hey, it's okay. Reassure them. It's okay that you're in debt. Really, it's okay that you can't really buy your first home today because your credit sucks, right? Whatever it is, right? It's okay. You're not the only one. I can guarantee you there are other people. However, there are some things you can do. Let's start with step 1, with step 2. It happens. It really happens. But imagine if so many people, and if you bring some statistics, our thinkers in your audience, they're going to thank you. They're going to say, thank you for the statistics. Like 70% of people that start working with me are over so many $1,000 in debt. Oh, really? Okay. So you're the right person for me to work with, right? So start gathering some data for your business to help the analytical people. We all feel it, but are you ready to change? All right, let's talk about the empower, our fourth, second to last step. How many of you are familiar with Donald Miller? Yes, building a story brand. Okay. I recommend, for those of you who think you need more help with marketing, listen to the book, buy the book, connect with him on social media, follow him. He's great. He really is, I would say, the marketing genius, or this book essentially is like the marketing Bible, because it talks to you about how our brain operates and how sales work. It's really sales psychology. Why do people feel called to then buy and to invest their money? And one of the key aspects that he teaches in his book, and this has everything to do with how movies are made, by the way, because you're being sold a story when you're watching a movie. And that's why some movies land, some movies don't land, because they don't follow a certain structure. So this is the concept that I was just telling you about. You want to be the guide. You don't want to be the hero. You're not the hero. They are the hero, right? This is how you attract empowered clients, not the headache clients, because they know they need to do things. It's not your responsibility to change their situation, right? So now here's my stopping point to say, you need to be the role model since you're the guide, and you need to go first. You need to do it in the open. So everything that I'm telling you right now, you get to start implementing. I'm sure I've given you some ideas so far that you could start using, whether it be on a social media post. If you send email marketing, you can start thinking about how you're going to, write your next email, or maybe when you present yourself at the next networking meeting, you can change your little elevator pitch a little bit to convey what you do in a clearer manner. And don't overthink it, and set the example. What do I mean by that? Many of us at times get frustrated with the response from our potential clients. I don't get it. You borderline get triggered. They have a problem and they're not doing anything about it. And I can help them. And you get mad at them, right? But we need to understand that it starts with us. Are you being that person that actually goes and looks for solutions for your problems? Are you hiring other people, right? Are you putting your money where your mouth is? We need to do that as well. So in the coaching world, which is the world that I'm a part of, many times we expect our students in our group programs, for example, to engage, to do the homework, right? To be present. But then as coaches ourselves, when we're a part of programs, we are the fly in the wall. So what do you expect your students to do, right? You need to lead by example. So much like kids, for those of you who are parents, right? They don't necessarily follow what you say, they do what you do. So if you're the one saying, oh, you need to drink more water, and you don't drink water, they don't see you drink water, or don't curse, and you're the one cursing all the time. Tell that to my husband, but that's a story for another time. They're going to say it. They're going to say the words. They're going to copy what you do. So same thing for clients and potential clients. So how can you implement this in your content ASAP? Did anybody have any light bulbs that they care to share and be like, oh, I love this idea. I want to try. Yes, no, maybe? Anything resonated that you can start sharing? Yes.
So I like the part that you said, like, share your story. Mm-hmm. So we haven't put like a ton of like the origin of our business on social media. So we could start doing more of like the, back to how it all started.
Yeah, that is really helpful because again, it humanizes, right? And people love stories. I mean, building a story brand, I said, it's a Bible. Oh, this is why they created this. My grandfather did that as well. I want to invest in this company, right? I want to get to know them. It's really what it's all about. Oh, I know somebody. Every time I say I'm Brazilian, somebody's like, I actually know another Brazilian. And then they're excited to meet me just because of that. So share about yourself and the origins. That's really great. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so what are some quick wins they can get from your content alone? Encouragement, easy first steps, shortcuts. This is what you share before people pay you. And this is why they pay you, right? Because you've encouraged them before even paying, before they invested, because you gave them some steps for them to start seeing some change before hiring you, and you've given them some shortcuts. So here's an idea, and I have a handout for this in case anyone's interested, but it's just another way for you to create content. If you are the type of person that's like, I need to write something about my business and I have no idea what to say, here you go. How can you make feelers feel safe to take risks when it comes to money, when it comes to their career, when it comes to their health, when it comes to their personal growth or relationships? So this is me combining all the different areas of life and the 3 personality types. How can you empower thinkers to take action since they tend to live in their own little world? And how can you help doers ground themselves in the now, because they're always on to the next thing, remember? So how can you help them? Hey, no, focus your attention right here. This is what you need to do now when it comes to the different areas of life. And finally, the transformation, the last step, has to do with you presenting your offer. Many times sales can be, you can use the analogy of relationships, right? You don't ask somebody to marry you the first day you meet them. You need to do some courtship, right? You need to kind of get to know each other, build that know, like, and trust factor. And the same thing is with your sales. So did you see how before we got to the transformation part of now pay me, buy my offer, invest in what I have in my service or product, you built that relationship beforehand. You understand their personality. You helped them see how what you have to offer is beyond that specific niche. It really trickles down into different areas of life. You help them be okay with where they are, starting from an empowered place. And you help them then feel hope. I am the hero. I can change my situation. You're not going to change it for me. I am with your help. So this is where you present the opportunity. Because really, the difference between somebody just going on Google and DIYing stuff and working with you is they're going to have an expert support. They're going to have the accountability, right? Because otherwise we don't do it. How many of us started doing stuff on our own with Google or YouTube and they were like, crap, I guess I need to hire a life coach, a business coach, right? You're watching people's free content for a long time. And then finally you're like, I'm going to buy a course that actually has a step-by-step, right? And that's what your clients are doing with you as well. So you're going to help them implement and get there faster with your help and experience. This is when testimonials can be very helpful. And I like to say that feelers and thinkers really love testimonials, the analytics, because they want to know that you've done this before. You didn't start yesterday. You've helped people get results. Whereas with doers is more about the excitement. Sure, I want you to be a reputable person in your business, but I want to feel excited to work with you and change my situation. So there's different ways of going about it. In repetition, I can't say that enough. Marketing is repetition. Don't worry about being monotonous. Oh, I'm saying the same thing over and over again. Yeah, because they have their lives and they're thinking about other stuff. So you need to bring their attention back to the thing that you can help them with. And then when it comes to social media content, but this goes for other stuff too, is give people time to see what you're putting out there. Because oftentimes you say it once and then you're like, oh man, they're not interested. Again, they have lives and they're doing other things. That's not as present in their awareness. And that's why it hasn't been solved, right? So that's why it's important to bring that repetition and give them time to see the value of what you have to offer. So here's my last slide in this. It's Tuesday, so we could still count this week, unless you want to start next week. Starting on Monday is good too. What are you going to do? How can you start sharing more about the value of what you have to offer using some of the strategies that I taught here, leveraging your personality to really magnetize the ideal people to work with you, right? So what are you going to do on Monday? Because sometimes if we don't put things on the calendar or even write them down, it's like they don't exist. So I encourage you to write that down. That's how I operate. And that's what I teach my clients too is, okay, you're not a doer. You're not going to post every day on social media. That's okay. Sometimes I say that and people are like, I can't do it. Or if they do it for a week, then they're going to crash and burn because it's too much. But maybe for feelers and thinkers, once a week is fine. Okay, awesome. That's better than nothing. People are seeing it. But create a plan, right? What is it that they say? A dream without a plan is just a wish. Or if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Let's create a plan, a marketing plan. Oh, something a client said to me the other day was amazing. How many of you know what Nike is? You know the brand, right? Have you seen any recent Nike commercials somewhere? You haven't? They still need to do advertising. They still need to talk about it, right? Everybody knows who Nike is. But there is still billboards and whatever. There is still hiring high-profile people to talk about their stuff. That's you, okay? You're not Nike. You still need to talk about your business as well, okay? All right, this is what I have for you. If you haven't taken the quiz, you can scan it right now and take it. Did any of you take it? What did you get?
I got filler, which I feel like I'm a filler and a doer.
Okay.
I feel like I have that nice personality. And I did do, when I started real estate 7 years ago, when I joined the team, they had me take a personality test. And after 2 days, then the lead lady was like, that test was incorrect with her. She's got a very dominant personality. So, which I feel like I have a dominant when I need it.
Right.
But I also am I'm not analytical, I'm not that, but I'm the other things.
Right. Well, and that's where quizzes can't do the job that you do in understanding yourself, right? So it's just a starting point, and we're not one-dimensional by any means, but there is a dominant traits that come in. Cool. So what did you get? Got feeler, and you said feeler and doer. Awesome. What did you get? A doer as well. Did you resonate with that? Okay. So as a 2, something about the Enneagram is that there are wings. So you lean either one way or the other. So 2 wing 3 or 2 wing 1. So if you have a 3 wing, it would make sense to be a doer because 3s are doers. So you're in that cusp there. Cool. Anybody else took it? Resonate with it? Awesome. If you have any questions, let me know. So something exciting that I have coming up next week is that I'm doing a 1-week coaching experience. If anyone's interested in doing that, especially for the ladies here that want more visibility, if you're interested in more speaking opportunities, and just really standing out with your content on social media, I'll be sharing a little bit more about how I navigate that. Also the mindset aspect of it, because at times we say, I want to be more visible. I want more eyeballs in my business, but then you're not really showing up. So what are you doing? And it's that, visibility fears. We don't want to be rejected, everything that I talked about previously. So I encourage you to reach out to me if you're interested. I do have my podcast, like Anthony mentioned. I would love for you to check it out. It's called the Empowered Woman Podcast. And I have my book here. I have some copies here. I do have it on Kindle and Audible if you're more of an Audible person. And thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope this was helpful and got your wheels turning. Be empowered.